Hi everybody, thank you for coming back to my YouTube channel, Aspire to Be Me. And what we do on this channel is we help bring mental health awareness and anything that comes with mental health, suicide prevention, anything on that line. So this week we're going to be talking about bullying. I actually was working on the crisis and suicide line earlier this week, and I had a text message come through. We manned 3 text lines while we were working, and it was a teenager. It was a very young teenager, and the text that she had was about bullying. And hearing what these kids go through who are bullied, it is really, it's terrifying, it's sad, and there needs to be more done about it. It needs to be talked about. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about bullying. So what exactly is bullying? Well, it's an unwanted behavior. Any kind of behavior that person does not want. It can be any kind of behavior like inappropriate comments, any kind of touching, fighting, any kinds of inappropriate behavior. There's also power and control with the bully. They want to have control over this person, and they feel the need to keep doing this. So it can be repetitive. Not always, but many times it can be repetitive by the bully to the same person that's being bullied. So now that we've talked about bullying, what are the types of bullying? Well, there's actually 3 different types of bullying. And the first one is verbal bullying. And that's, when the perpetrator threatens the person. They might tease the person by making fun of them, saying inappropriate things, any kind of inappropriate comments. Those are just some of the examples of verbal bullying that can go on. The second one is social, hurting people's reputations. This can be a really big one. So, for example, what does that mean? Embarrassing someone in public. Nobody wants to be embarrassed, let alone in public. So that's something a bully would do in the type of social bullying. Somebody else that, you might have a friend that says, well, I don't think you should be friends with that friend because so-and-so. That's another type of bullying, kind of control, telling people what they should or what they shouldn't do. Leaving someone out purposefully. When you're a kid and you were in gym class and you had to pick teams for the basketball team. Well, I was always the short one, I was tiny, and I was always the last one picked. But sometimes the kid that's the last person picked is because they just don't like them, or they're just mean, or it's purposeful. And that's not good for anybody. And it can bring some really bad things later in life. And then the third one is physical bullying. And that's the actual fighting, punching, bringing any kind of weapon to the bullying when it's happening, any kind of physical thing that could hurt someone. And, those are the types of bullying that can go on. And obviously there's way more information about bullying than I'm gonna go over today in this little podcast. Obviously, not everything that I say is just this. There's so much more. When I was researching bullying, I could go on and on for a whole week on podcasts about bullying. Now, where does this bullying take place? Most of the time it does take place in schools, but it can happen anywhere. And not even just for kids, it can happen to adults as well, which can be really scary because we're just not learning from what is going on in the schools when we're youngsters into when we are actually older adults. So I want to go over a few statistics with you very quickly about bullying. So in 2014-15 school year, the National Center for Education Statistics and the Bureau of Justice Statistics did a little study and found out that 21% of students who were 12 to 18 years of age experienced bullying. And those are the students that actually reported it and actually said that it happened. So just think of all the ones that aren't reported, that maybe the person who is being bullied was too scared to actually report it. In 2015, the CDC reported 20% of students in the 9th to the 12th grade were bullied in the 12 months of that survey being taken. Another statistic is approximately 30% of students admit to bullying. 30% of students actually said that they bully another student. 70.6% of students have seen bullying done at their school. They've actually seen a bully and the person being bullied. Now, when intervene bullying happens, when someone intervenes when bullying's going on, normally within 10 seconds, 57% of the time, the bullying stops. Within 10 seconds, if someone just intervenes into what's going on. That's crazy statistics. So let's go over some few more and then we'll move on. 160,000 students stay home every day from bullying. Could you imagine? 160,000 students every day are too afraid to go to school because of somebody who is bullying them every day. Bullies, the people who are doing the bullying, are 6 times more likely to be incarcerated by the time they're at 24 years old. Now, schools with bullying programs, those schools have noticed that there's a 50% reduction in bullying. 50%, that's half. Just because they put in a bullying program at the school, it can reduce bullying by 50%. Bullying was actually a factor in 2/3 of 37 school shootings that were reviewed by the Secret Service. That's a lot of statistics, and that's scary. So when you see signs, how do you know that you're seeing signs of somebody who's bullying? Well, you might see some unexpected injuries. You might see some lower grades that people have. Maybe a sudden loss of friends. Maybe they're starting to feel hopeless. Obviously, there's more signs and symptoms of somebody who's being bullied, but those are just a few to kind of start. Now, this is important as well. What are the signs of a bully? Well, it might be somebody who likes to pick up fights. Maybe their friends are also bullies. When I was a kid, my mom always said, you are who your friends are, and I never believed that until I got older. But it's absolutely true. And, if somebody who's bullying has friends that are bullying, they're probably doing the same thing together. Another thing is they might blame others for something that they've done. They're always in the blame game. Somebody else did something to me, so I'm going to do this to somebody else, rather than just dealing with things on their own. So those are some signs of an actual bully. So now that we know what bullying is, the signs of someone being bullied, and the signs of the actual bully, and where this all can happen, how do we help? Well, the first thing is for students to be able to talk to that trusted adult. Communication is key in so many things, and you need to have a very high communication with a trusted adult. This might be a school counselor, it might be a teacher, it might be a parent, it might be your friend's parent, it might be a pastor, it might be anybody, as long as you trust them. Another thing you can do, if your school does not have a program, is to look into programs that you can actually put in effect in your school. One program that I really enjoy is called a bully box. And what that is, it's a box and it's locked. And what you can do is you can just slide in a piece of paper with your name on it, or the name of the bully and what's going on. And then a teacher or a guidance counselor, can go in there and look and see what's going on and kind of research the matter. Then you don't have to actually go to the principal. You can just quickly put it in there. No harm, no foul. No one really knows what's going on, and that they can actually report it. Now, there's some places that you can actually reach out to if you are seeing somebody who's starting to feel hopeless or lonely, or having some really suicidal thoughts or crises about bullying. So you can always call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and their phone number is 1-800-273-8255. You can also text the crisis text line, which is really good for youngsters, especially your middle school and high schoolers. And all you have to do is text home to 741-741. Another thing to know is how to safely report bullying. So maybe you saw it, maybe you know someone who's being bullied. Maybe you've been bullied and you want to know how your school deals with it so you can report it effectively. There's also another great resource called stompoutbullying.com, and they have a chat line on their website if you go there. So it's stopbullying.org, and all you have to do is go there, and then you can just type your issue and they will help you out there. So that's the end of my presentation, but I wanted to at least give you a couple of references of where I studied some of this information. The first one is the American Society for the Positive Care of Children, and the second one is stopbullying.gov. Those are two great resources where you can find more information about bullying and how you can prevent it. Thank you. See you next week.